Okay, I have some considerations for you here on choosing tent stakes, also known as tent pegs. I have a selection here of ones that are fairly common. Some civilian ones you can get at pretty much any camping goods stores, and then I also got some military ones tossed in here that you have to get off the surplus market. You can find those on eBay pretty easily, and you might find them at a surplus store also. It just depends on that store. Now, first off, we're going to go with the ubiquitous one here that's all over the place in stores. The cheapest you're going to find. This is a 7-inch steel tent peg made by Coghlan's, sold by Walmart. These are now 98 cents a piece. At the start of the pandemic, these were 4 for $1, so they've quadrupled in price in the last 3 years. This type of tent stake is really only good for a small shelter. A hasty that you're doing with a poncho or a tarp and some 550 cord, or for using to hold down a 2-person to 4-person dome tent. I would not go anything really big with this because there's not a lot to this. You get a good wind underneath the tarp and this will get pulled out of the ground one way or another, either straight out or just pried out at an angle. Are these ones to avoid? No, they definitely had their uses. If you're looking for lighter weight and cheaper, this would probably be your pick. So you can find them at Walmart. You can find these at pretty much any camping goods stores. Now, next up here, a couple examples of the plastic ones that are on the market. Now, the yellow one here, they do make them by Coghlan's now. Plastic, 9-inch, and the price are $1.50 a piece. You got 2 different styles here, different companies. One's with a hook, one's without, just straight peg. Those used to be the ones that they included with the 2-person and 4-person tents years ago, before they went super cheap and put in the steel tent peg. And actually, I consider that an upgrade when they went with these, because the problem with these is they break. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. When is it going to break? Is it going to break the first time you're putting it in the ground, when you're hitting it with a rock or a mallet or a hammer? Is it going to break that second time, that third time? Is it going to break in the middle of the night when a wind comes through and you get stress on the tent, stress on the tarp, and it just snaps? It can happen at any moment, and then you're out of stake. Now, the most common problems I seen with these was this hook would break off up in here. Now, it's still a usable stake then, if you run some 550 cord or something through the eyelet, or you put it at a steep angle to hold the tent down. Yeah, it's still usable for a little while. But something that's becoming more and more common when I was reading through reviews on these types of stakes is they'll break and shatter in here from about 1/3 to the 2/3 mark. Somewhere in here, it just snaps, it breaks. Once that happens, this is completely useless. My personal recommendation when it comes to plastic stakes, avoid them. Okay, they are a temporary thing. Do not trust your life, the life of your family, or their health or your health on them. When you need to have a shelter that's out of the wind, out of the rain, a storm is hitting you, you don't want to rely on this. Now, next ones that we have here are some military surplus ones. You can get those pretty easy from a surplus store. You can also get them off eBay easily. Prices obviously are all over the place on them, depending on if you're buying 1 or 2, a pack of 6, pack of 12, a box of 100. Okay, the price will be all over the place. Now, first up, we got the orange stakes, and these were what was issued with the shelter half, aka the GP Tiny. Now these stakes are 9 inches in length, and when I did a quick check on eBay, it looks like individually you can probably get them for $3 to $4 a piece. Yes, I know that's considerably more than the others, but these work really good. The only problems I've ever had with these is the bottom will curl. If you're putting it into the ground, excuse me, should be like that. You're putting it in the ground and you hit a rock, the bottom will start to curl over the top of the rock. When you put this in the ground, you need to put the open part of the V here facing upward, so that as stress is put on it, it's acting like a bulldozer. It's, you know, compacting the earth in front of it. If you put it in the ground like this, you get a good wind on stuff. It kind of acts like a blade cutting its way through the ground, so it'll stay in longer this way. Now this next one is for camel nets. These were put into the inventory in OD green like this. This one is 12 inches in length. Going price on these, and it depends on how many you get at a time, is going to be between $1 and $3 a piece. These you usually find in bulk. You can get them in batches of 12 or 20, 24, 50. Obviously, the more you get, the cheaper. These are what we used with camel netting, and it's got the same rules as with the one for the shelter half. When you put it in like that. And these do work really good. Would I use it long term in a bug out location for on a shelter? Yes, I'd be willing to. I would. If you're going to carry everything in and weight is a factor because you're trying to carry as much as possible in, especially food wise, and so you're trying to minimize some of the weight on the materials you're bringing with you, this is a good one to have. And I would recommend using this if you're doing a larger type shelter, a larger tarp type shelter, and that stuff that's going to be in for a long time. Now this next one here, these are actually Arctic tent stakes. These are either in 12-inch or 18-inch lengths, but the average you will find is a 12. These are typically painted red. I painted mine tan because that's the color I had. And the existing paint that was on there was, you know, really faded off, worn off and stuff. These things are heavy duty as hell. This is what we use for holding tents in the ground during winter in frozen ground. During the summer, we will use these on larger tents to keep them in the ground. We don't even mess with the wooden tent stakes because for the most part, they're useless and they shatter, you know, almost as quick as the plastic ones, where we could beat the hell out of these and they just keep going. Now the average price for those is $3 to $5 a piece. Price will depend. Are you buying it individually or part of a bundle, a larger amount? Now they do make a version of this I found in Walmart. It has a slightly different end on it. It's got a rounded end like this, but it's essentially the same material and stuff. It has a curve up in here, and those come in 12.5 and also 18-inch lengths according to Coghlan's, who makes them. They are black in color and they are sold at $3 a piece. You can get them in Walmart. Now, which ones do I recommend for what job? Kind of told you already. For hasty shelters and that stuff, you're going more lightweight. You're probably okay with this because you're changing position going to different locations, setting up the shelter somewhere else, you know, something like this would be a better factor. This would work really good also if you want to spend a little bit more money. If you are going to cache things or put up larger tents, larger shelters, say you're trying to set up a briefing area, you're trying to stake it down and that stuff, these would be your best bets. If you are caching items at a base camp location, I would really recommend these because you're not carrying them around. If you are transporting them around, you know, you're bringing your TOC set, your Tactical Operations Center set with you from location to location on people's backs. I would go with this type, the 12-inch aluminum, because it's lighter weight, still does the job, does just fine. So there's some things to think about and consider on tent stakes. I know it's nothing that will get me high views, don't care. I'm trying to help out the people that are actually looking for this information. And once again, I will put out there as a final on this, avoid the plastic ones. They're not worth it. They will break. It's just a question of when. And if you're in a survival situation, a resistance situation, once one of these little bastards breaks, you're not going to be able to go to a store and replace it. Which means the metal ones will last longer. Those should be what you choose first. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movements, always remember, essay ons.